And we are back, and we just finished watching 2024's Nightbitch, rated R. I needed to accentuate the last part of that word. Rated R with a runtime of 1 hour and 39 minutes. We caught this on Hulu. And before we start, I want to give a shout out to the always lovely Uncle Leo for coming and stopping by and talking to us about this film. This is directed by Marielle Heller, with writing credits to Marielle Heller from a book by Rachel Yoder. This stars Amy Adams she's listed on IMDb as Mother. And it's kind of funny now that I think about it. I don't remember hearing a name, right?
Yeah, she's Mother. The guy is husband. And son.
Son. Yeah, that's so weird. I didn't realize that they didn't have specific names here. Huh. Okay. That aside, this is the story of Mother, played by Amy Adams, who decides to give up a career in art to become a stay-at-home mom, and how that transition plays out on a day-to-day. I'm gonna start with myself. Having been in this situation, there were parts of this film that I could totally relate to. There were parts of it where I was a little bit confused about, or maybe not. Maybe confused, not so good, isn't such a great word. I just couldn't relate to. And then there were parts of this that I felt. So I'm gonna out myself and say, I'm assuming that we were supposed to really dislike the husband. And my oldest kid sat through some of this with us, and she really disliked the husband, but I did not. And I'll go into that in a little bit, and I think that Amy Adams' character, obviously being the lead, is the point of view character, the one that you're supposed to go on this journey with. And while I appreciated that somebody put this on the big screen so wider audiences, and also I guess men in a way can understand what this journey is like, I also felt like there were pieces that were missing in the overall narrative. And again, this is just my interpretation. This isn't gospel. Just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I have all the answers, because whatever. But yeah, to me, it felt a little incomplete. And I guess we can workshop it as we go through this discussion. I'm going to start with you, Uncle Leo. You are surrounded by women all the time, whether it's in your profession, whether you're dealing with coworkers or mothers of children and stuff like that. So did any of this come as a surprise to you? I guess that's my first question to you.
No, not at all. When I was watching the beginning of the movie, it reminded me of something I had said on Mother's Day to my staff. I was in the office, and I just said to them, I don't know how it came up, just me being appreciative of just being a mother. I just said the big difference between men and women, and it was really addressed in this movie, which was we don't quite understand what it is to grow something inside of us. We don't get that understanding that we are responsible for life, the continuation of a species and life, and how a mother's unconditional love, whether it's chemical or whether it's true love from that first moment of pushing that coconut out of your, it just seems, all of it just seems really hard. And I just said, they don't understand, like guys don't understand that. And these women were like, you really love women. And I was like, of course I do, but I have to, I don't understand it, but I could at least try as a man. I don't know if that makes sense. And they were really shocked. They were like, you get it. And it's like, yeah, I mean, my mother's, and I have issues with my mom, but she took care of us. She's not a bad person. Mm-hmm. You do what you have to do because something drives you to take care of your child. And that's got to do with the growing and we're not connected to the earth that way. Like we destroy things, we build things, we set things on fire, we fight, it's not, and those are just big generalizations,
Sure.
And there are some people that would, two men adopt a baby. And it's like, no, it's not, that baby has not come from you and it has not left you. And that, as Bjork said, leaving my wet embrace, I think it was one of her songs. Yeah. She had said that. And it's like, I'll never get that, but I could at least go, yo, that's on you. And really admirable. And I would never in my life want to do that. But I don't know whether it's want. I mean, when you had your children, your first child, and I rushed to the hospital just to be there to hear you scream. And I couldn't make it on time.
Missed it.
I couldn't get there on time. I don't know what happened with my life, but I was trying. I did show up at the hospital, but I was like, she's gonna do this. My best friend in the world is gonna do this. And I'm like, how is that gonna come out? And how is she gonna live? And it's like
And you've seen me in my worst, in my silliest,
absolutely.
in my most immature and irresponsible.
Absolutely.
So to be responsible for a child is just...
Well, not that. I knew you were going to be a great mother when all that kicked in and all your ridiculousness. As soon as that you were seated, I just think the whole world of things started to change in you. And I think how this movie, tying it back to the movie, and she was like in the beginning, the mother character, because she didn't have a name, and I was like, oh, the Amy Adams character, like I didn't catch her name, because she didn't have a name, and I just felt that how she just was miserable, and I couldn't and I right away, and I got it, like I think I texted you, I'm like, oh my god, she's right. It's like, how could this be easy or fun or wanting to do it? And I think something else just takes over, and I will never understand that feeling. And that's how it kind of like my office was like, which is majority of women were like, you really get it. And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm gonna be honest, I don't. And that's how I get it, because I really don't. And they get it that I don't, and I understand that I don't.
But I think even like when we were, because you and I first met in college, but even in college, I feel like you were so the thing that I love about you so much is that you feel like home. I feel like anybody can come to you. You don't judge unless somebody needs a severe talking to. And I think that people are just comfortable with you. And I think that you also very much, you're scrappy. So you always you always take up the mantle for the underdog. And I feel like with women, because you've always been surrounded by women your whole life.
My whole life.
Strong, crazy, complex, layered.
Weak. All of it.
All of it. Yeah, you've really run the range, but you've always been like such an amazing ally to all of us, I feel like. And I think that whether it's in your professional life or your personal life with your friends and your family, you've always been like, okay, you're crazy, but I'm going to try and understand you because you're my family. And again, whether it's your blood family or the family that you've created. So I think that's why you get it. You're constantly surrounded by women, and you're open to listening to their experiences and again, being an ally and an advocate and making sure that everyone is seen and heard. And that's like another beauty about you, that you, because of your own, I guess, history and just making sure that you're respected and whatever, you do that for everyone else.
And I think that's why I did like this movie a lot, because I see her right away, the mother character, and she just was like, this sucks. Everything about it sucks. I'm not sure if she liked her kid. I know, and dealing with the husband, I have my own spin on him. Yeah. I actually liked him a lot until there was one part that didn't make sense, the way he reacted, because he seemed to be okay, and then all of a sudden, I think that's where the movie kind of went off the rails for me, the way he responded. Some of what he said when they had that argument when they were like about to get divorced, where he was basically saying, I don't understand you, you're this and that, and I'm like, I get it, that I get, but then it was just like almost a ridiculousness of him almost not even wanting to try anymore, and that pissed me off, because he was showing the whole way that he was somebody I connected with. It was just like, this is crazy, and I know that they love each other, but this one out of the way fight split them. Yeah. And that fight did not make sense. Like the divorce made sense. Yeah. But how it kind of came about was not fair on both of them, I think. But she really, I mean, I'm like, yeah, she's right. Like, this sucks. Everything about it sucks. The baby, the spitting up, the vomit, the having to be responsible for this little kid, and the child is not reasonable because they don't have that capacity and being on top of it. And then when you find out that she's an artist and how you're like, oh, I see why she really hates it, because she's not in control. She's not in control of, when you're a mother, the mothering takes control of everything. And that whole creative process is now focused on, how do I get my kid to eat instead of how do what shade of blue am I painting this mural? There's a whole other world. A whole other world.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because that was part of also my gripe with this film, or the story of this film. And again, it's just an opinion, and everybody comes to their own journeys in their own ways. And this is maybe where the author was. And it's funny because I actually had a conversation with Ray after the film, and we saw this about 2 days ago. It didn't hit me until now that she didn't have a name. And that's also important, because this ties to something that I said to you kind of after we watched the film. And the thing so from my personal experience, I had my first child, but I was still working in an office, and I was very focused on my career. But again, once you have children, it changes you. You're not the same person. You find this strength from God only knows where. And
you certainly did, because I've never seen you stick up to certain people, and I'm not even going to mention who that is. And I was like, you said that to who?
Yeah.
Under these circumstances, where did that come from? And I knew where it came from, because it happened right after, right after, but it was all tied into who and why and why. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
She's a mother now, because now it's all about how am I directing my children? I have say, because I'm responsible, not you.
Right.
Or not anybody.
And that's important because, again, your life changes because you're given this incredible responsibility, and your window to impact these little lives is very small, because we are now, my eldest is going to be 17 this year, and my youngest is turning 14. And I don't know how the hell that happened, but your life is not your own, because you have a responsibility to these kids and stuff. So the scene, like just watching the film, I was saying to Ray how when the kids were very little, and so after I had my second child, I was laid off, and I was able to stay home for 3 years, which isn't a long time, but is in the day to day, because much like the beginning of this film, it's the tediousness of getting up and making the hash brown for breakfast and the mac and cheese for lunch, and every day is sort of the same, and it blends to the point where it sort of blurs. But the thing that really kind of shocked me out of my system, because I think when you're in that space, you're just on autopilot. You're just like, okay, the objective today is to keep everyone entertained, not have too much trouble, make sure no one dies, and put everyone to, bathe everyone and put them to bed, and then start this nonsense all over again tomorrow. So the thing that really, the beginning sequence spoke to me very, very deeply, because one of the things that happened to me when the kids were very small, and I now had 2 children, so it wasn't just me and my oldest child, it was now me and my 2 kids. So, and two's tough. One's tough, but 2's even tougher. And I remember, especially in the summertime, always trying to make sure that they were just good and tired, and just a lot of running around, this, that, and the other thing. And suddenly they start forming their own little tribes and whatnot with their group of friends. And somebody turned to me and said, Gracie's mom. I wasn't Joanne anymore. I wasn't me. I wasn't a wife. I wasn't a professional. I wasn't the daughter of George and Dolores. I was just Gracie's mom. So in a sense, I felt like I lost my identity. So it was interesting opening up the IMDb page and seeing her just referred to as mother. And that sort of brings it back to me, I think, how you almost lose yourself. And in the story, to bring it back to the story, how she felt she needed to give up her art, which was part of her, which was an extension of herself, which was something that defined her. The fact that she felt like she needed to do that to kind of transition into this new life, wasn't something that she really needed to do. But again, like these babies don't come with any books. There's no how-to or instruction manual. There's nothing. So everyone's sort of winging it. And if you're a good parent, you're just trying to do the best you can with what you have. So how you parent in the early stages of a child's life is definitely going to be very different than how you parent when they hit the double digits or when they become teenagers or when they're getting ready to go off to college. So it's kind of it's an interesting journey, and there are days where it is devastating. It is exhausting. It'll make you question yourself. It'll be like, why did I do this to myself? Nobody appreciates me. Nobody loves me. And then there are days that are absolutely heaven and sublime, and I would kill for everyone under my roof, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
Well, I just want to say, to kind of defend this, and I know you've gone through this personally, I have not, is when you lose your mother,
right?
Whatever that relationship is, there was a big tectonic shift in your life, because what was there completely at the beginning of your life, your first breath, is now gone. And what does that mean? What does that mean to you? So when people say, like I'm hearing your conversation with, I've lost my identity, I've lost this, but then from the person who's lost their mother is like, it doesn't make, the value of it isn't understood until it's missing. And that's different from a dad, I think, because the dad's role is a different role. It's people, or even when in partnerships or marriages where the wife goes first, husbands can't deal with it. The women, I notice, are always stronger. Like they're sad and they're upset and they're questioning. But when the wife goes, or the woman or the mother goes, it's the worst thing that can happen, because I've said this before, women, you say I'm an ally, I just see it. Like I see it for what it is. And I'm honest with it, that this is a big deal. Like being a mother is a big deal. And as much as it made light of it, I don't think it could have been a lot heavier, I think.
Yes.
Was putting the whole thing with the dogs. Like that's the whole part I couldn't stand. Where she had this whole becoming a dog, and like I was just like, okay, I'm not sure why this is here. I'm not sure if it's real. Like I didn't like that part. But the rest of it was like, every part of it was amazing, except for when she was morphing into a dog and all these other dogs were out there and they were all, I guess, women. And
yeah,
like, I didn't get that at all. Like, I didn't get that at all. Like, I thought this was such a bad idea. However, I guess it came from the books and she was honoring the author.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I hated that at all.
Yeah. I could see that. I could see that.
I mean, the title of the film is Nightbitch. It's supposed to be about
she becomes
primal
a bitch.
They're turning into animals and stuff.
Yeah, I didn't quite get that.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of explain it in the movie when she's talking to the other ladies about how when you give birth, it's horrible. You're being torn in half, sometimes literally, sometimes you're being cut open, your organs are being pulled out, they rip the baby out of you, they put it back in. And yet despite all of this, when you see the baby and feel the baby, there is this overwhelming primal love that it doesn't matter. None of that matters. And that was what they were, in my mind, from what I've read, that was what they were getting at with the whole, I'm turning into a dog. It could have been any sort of animal. Basically, it was just a more primitive, primal urge. Because if you go through the movie, she genuinely loves that kid. It's like, even though she's dying in this monotonous, tiring, endless cycle of just repetition, she genuinely loves that kid. There's not a moment where she is just like ready to just beat the crap out of him or anything. She humors that kid a lot.
Yeah.
And even when she tries to apply some order to things with the whole, she puts down all that paper on the ground with the paint, and then the kid starts going nuts, and he's not on the paper anymore. He's touching the counter and he's getting paint everywhere.
On his diaper.
And she's basically this order that she was trying to establish. Well, it's fun but orderly and clean. That just gets thrown out the window because you're not dealing with that anymore. You're dealing with
A child, which is as close to a feral animal.
Close to exactly, as close to a feral animal as you're going to get in a human being without some sort of psychosis going on. And she pays for it. She tries to get it under control, and at the end, she's just
weeping,
ass over and on her back in pain, crying as she's scrubbing the floor to get the paint out. And after that, it's like it becomes more manifest, and I don't think she was actually turning into a dog. The whole what she sees suddenly, she's got 8 nipples and a tail growing out of her ass. That's all just metaphors going on in her mind. I don't think she ever really turned into a dog. But there is just that it's like this primal need or this primal urge that they were trying to explain, that motherhood is this primal urge, which, I mean, if you try and think about it, yeah, it kind of is, because it's giving birth is not pleasant. It's not like...
Well, you shouldn't say it doesn't look pleasant.
It doesn't look pleasant either.
It doesn't look pleasant. I doubt it feels pleasant. I mean, I remember I was in that room with you both times, and I still remember you screaming, "It's burning! It's burning!" And like
that was the second time. I was on so many drugs the first time.
Yeah,
I was like, remember the doctor? I was like, can you please just tell her the insurance will cover a C-section? And she's
burning.
Like, no, tell her to push. We're both talking to you instead of each other.
Yeah, I'm being yelled at. I'm being smacked with bloody fists.
I would have loved to have been there hearing it's burning because
it sounded like she was giving birth to the sun.
That was your buddy Olive. Second time.
I told you that one was trouble.
Not trouble since the day she popped out.
The first day I met her and she came to my apartment and she did something, and I love, you know how I feel about, like, Olive is, I'm sorry, Mr. G, but Olive is mine. That is my genetics, even though you don't know. She's got the drama. She's got the costumes. She's got the voice. She belongs to me. I don't know how this happened. Absolutely. I don't know how this happened, but she's my whatever both of your children need. You know what my plan is. You got nothing to worry about when it comes to those two. But
oh my God, you would appreciate this. Yesterday, so we decided to gift them a trip to the mall because they're both doing well in school. How long did it take Olive to get like herself together? Like an hour, right?
Oh God, yeah. Oh
my God, she had to color coordinate her accessories, her top, her socks. I don't know what was going on. It's so funny. G is so you, because she's like t-shirt, pants, we're done. And she was like ready.
Yeah, she's ready in like 3 minutes. She's got the system down now. Yeah, she's got the little curler in the front of the hair, and then once it's time to leave the door, that comes out. The outfit's on. Done. Olive, it's like, what I wear a dress today, pants, leg warmers.
Oh my God. Blue wig,
shoulder length gloves,
blue wig. When she came out of the house in the blue wig,
the wig will come out. Oh my God! Yesterday we were at the mall and we went to the boba place. I was like hangry at this point. It took her, I'm not even gonna lie, like 20 minutes to decide on what boba to select. It's a good thing she's cute, and then she at least had the decency to be apologetic afterwards. She's like, Mama, I'm sorry that took me so long. I'm like, don't worry, baby. But yeah, you should try to have an idea next time. I literally left her to bring food to the table, and we were sitting on the other side of the mall to then go back, and she still hadn't decided what she wanted to drink.
It's important to her.
If she wasn't my kin, I would have taken her and thrown her.
Well, everything about her has been sort of methodical, and so like even when we went to, like, she wouldn't like to eat, and I'm like, first of all, you're with a whole bunch of people that don't understand that. We're wolves,
Like, where did you come from?
I'll have the tomato. I said, you got a beautiful dish of French fries.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, no, the tomato. Yeah. Like, what? Who is this? Like, how did this come about?
I don't know. Dude, she says to us, she doesn't like cheese, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, excuse me?
I didn't like it as a kid either. I like it now. Yeah, I
want cheese slathered on everything.
No, for me it was more like I didn't like grated cheese on spaghetti until I was in my 20s.
I was like,
what kind of guinea are you?
A terrible one, apparently. And now it's like, snow. I can't live without it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have to be, better if it's freshly grated and you get that junk out of the green can or whatever it is. But back to this movie. So let's bring this back to this movie. So
but anyway, like I was saying,
it burns. That's what we like. It burns.
So that's what I was saying, that the whole like metaphor with the dog was that it's just motherhood is a, as they say, a very primal thing.
It just didn't have to be beating me over the head with it. It's like, okay, she's a dog. She has 6 nipples. She does speak to her husband about it in the shower. He's like, okay, you're crazy.
Right.
Can I come in there?
Well, I mean, it is tagged comedy. So I mean, beating you over the head with the lesson, that's gonna happen in a comedy.
Well, she's covered in dirt. She's covered in dirt, and he's like, yeah. And I'm like,
I would not want to be part of that. And I think we're too old for shower sex.
I've always hated that.
Yeah. Yeah. Question for you.
Wow, that's personal.
As animal lovers, I'm not down with her killing that cat.
That was the one part of the movie that I really couldn't get behind. Me. Like, chase it off or something.
Chase it off, right. Make it run away, but
murder
don't kill
the
it.
Cat.
Do dogs kill cats, though?
Yes, they do.
I'm sure some of them do.
The neighbor's dog would.
Oh,
remember?
yes.
Yeah.
Stormy,
yeah.
The neighbor used to have a husky, gorgeous dog, and anything that fell, whether it was a squirrel or a stray cat or a bird,
was doomed.
That's territorial. That's territorial, though. I don't think it's
that animal was doomed. Mice, yeah. Raccoons. Yeah, Stormy went to town.
Yeah, as an animal lover, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't care for that.
Oh, she hated the cat.
Which
that
I
was
didn't
coming.
understand.
Yeah, how do you
hate the cat? The cat doesn't bother you.
Because it wasn't her kid.
Doesn't matter.
She's not a nice woman. Okay, I didn't like her.
Thank you for bringing that up. So this is okay. So as a woman, as a mother who's sort of had a similar, not exact, but a similar journey, the thing that I sort of found disingenuous is when the husband says to her, I guess when they're talking about separation, do you hate, I don't remember if he said, do you hate having the child or do you hate him? And she says no. And I'm like, that's not entirely true, because as someone who's had this journey, maybe hate's a strong word, but there are days where you question your choices. I don't care what anyone says. There are days that are good. There are days that are bad. And we're human. We make mistakes, and there are days where you might feel resentment towards your child. You might feel resentment because, my tits didn't hang down to my knees before you. I didn't have all these stretch marks before you. I had a cute waist before you. And now I don't have any of that. I'm not even my own person anymore. I am just so-and-so's mom. That's it. I am a means to an end. I am the provider of snacks. I am the bank that facilitates all the fun purchases and gifts and toys. Other than that, I am just the person that sits there, or I'm the milk lady, whatever these kids want to tag me as. But still, it's like, so I found that sort of disingenuous, because I was like, if you're really going to go here, really go here. Because I think that there are days, and especially if she's having such a struggle, because she's trying to figure it out so that she doesn't have the same trajectory that her own mother did. So if we're being honest here, we need to be honest with all the messy, dirty pieces of our narrative. And so that's the part that I found a little off. I found that off. I found the thing about the cat off. I found the thing with the husband a little off too, because for the most part, it felt like he was being painted to be like this really oblivious, dumb. And it's funny because we were watching it with G, and she said, I hate that guy. Mm-hmm. Right? And I'm like, I understand what you're saying, but relationships are more complex and they're more layered than this. And it's not just what you see. There's other pieces to it. And I said, did you hear when he said to her, I don't know. If you tell me things are okay, then I'm going to assume that things are okay. I can't read your mind.
And he's right.
Yeah. 100%. I learned that firsthand with my own husband. He's not a mind reader as much as I want him to be. He's not.
No, I've actually said those words.
You've actually said those words.
I can't read your mind. Right. Please let me know what's wrong.
Right.
Well, your husband's a saint, and you know how I feel about him.
He's all right.
He saved my life. He saved my life. Who was happier on your wedding day? It wasn't your mom. It was me. Yes. I was the happiest person.
I'm done with her. Let her be somebody else's
Thank you. Thank you.
You're a terrible person.
I can't read your mind. I did not hate him at all. But then all of a sudden, that conversation, they were trying to make me hate him, and I still didn't. When he said, I can't read your mind, then he kind of went there with like where he was purposely being hurtful. I don't remember exactly what he said. And I'm like, well, wouldn't make sense the whole time because he's, and I know she was resenting him every time he used to do these work trips. He would go for 3 or 4 days and it would be peaceful. And it's like she really resented him. And does motherhood create resent?
I think
that's another thing.
I think so. I absolutely, because again, like you lose yourself. I think as someone who's sort of had a similar experience, like you resent, like, oh, I went to how many years of college for this? Like to just
but why would you choose something like that? So then I think it's like, then I'm like, okay, bitch, why did you want to do this? Why did you sign off on this? What makes you as a mother, what made you sign off to have children besides your husband being irresistible and the condom slipped? Like what else could possibly tell me about it?
I think you just get swept up in the moment, at least for me. Like, I think we started talking about it, and I think this is after my dad had passed. So I think that played a big thing too, because not towards my husband, but I resented that I didn't have children while he was still alive, because I think that he would have loved little girls. He would have loved little girls. I think he would have loved both of them, but he would have gotten such a kick out of G, especially Olive. But I think he would have gotten such a kick out of G and the first grandchild and this, that, and the other thing. And I didn't get to experience that with him. And I think that after he passed, I hope this never happens to me. They say that burying a child is just the worst thing in the world, and I'm sure it is, but
it's not.
Burying your parent is also up there. And I definitely, there are days, I mean, he's been gone since 2006, and there are days where I literally don't want to get out of bed. And it's been a while now. So, but I still, it's the hole that never heals in a lot of ways. And there are times where, I mean, I still talk to him because I feel like I can, but I think that that really was a big one, because it was like, I'm going to have a kid so that I can tell my kids about what growing up was for me, and I can remember my dad by telling them these stories, so that he's always alive and he's always present. And I also think that it's just sweet, right? I think babies and the idea of babies and just somebody looking at you with just adoration and love. There's something about that. Although I swore my first kid hated me. I swore my first kid. I felt like she made a deal with the husband, because every time he left for work, she would just start. No,
that's a daddy
screaming.
Thing. That's a daddy thing, because the daddy comes and goes, and is he coming back? That it's more tied into, why is he going away? Why is he leaving? Is he coming back? It's not, okay, mom's there because she can't go anywhere. but the dad is like, I remember crying over my dad. Well, I don't remember. My mom would tell me, yeah, you cry over dad. My sister would scream. It's definitely, you feel like, oh my God, I've been here the whole time. Why aren't you, because that person is leaving and coming back. I don't think it's got anything to do with,
Well, it was,
you're just, go ahead, I'm
funny.
sorry.
No, it was funny. You want to tell the story about the shirt?
What, that when I would leave, she would lose her mind, and you would call me up all distressed,
weeping. And
I said, just take one of my dirty shirts and use it as a blanket, and you'd put it on her, and she would
calm the hell down. But then she got wise to me. She's like, this isn't the guy. This doesn't feel like the guy.
Oh, she thought that the shirt was, wow.
It was him. I would call him at work hysterical. I can't get her. I changed her. I fed her. I rocked her. I tried to soothe her. She still won't stop. And like, I was exhausted, because I was like, maybe she'll take a nap and I can take a nap.
Lies.
This is why I say, like, I feel like that's disingenuous, because yes, you love your children, and yes, you may say, oh, this kid, I'm ready to trade them in for a ham sandwich. Yes, you're going to say stuff like that, but you obviously don't mean it. But to me, it feels disingenuous to be like, oh, motherhood's so great and it's this spectacular, it's magic, it's puppies and unicorns and rainbows.
But that's what they're selling.
That's what they're selling. And it's like, it's not that. No, it's not that. And you're not going to fucking look like, I don't know, who snapped back quick? Angelina Jolie after she had her kids? You're not going to look like that because she's got the money to have like personal trainers and nannies and chefs and all that other shit.
She didn't even have the baby. Where's footage of that?
I don't know. I mean, allegedly. She was pregnant twice. I think I saw
whatever. Come on. Motherhood.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Run.
No, I mean, that's back to the movie. This is presenting the very ugly side of it. That it's
I don't think they went ugly enough.
Yeah, it's not. Well, I mean, as I said, it was tagged as a comedy. So obviously you're not going to go full drama in this, especially if you're showing this visual metaphor of her turning into a dog, which you may not have liked it, but it did lend to that comedic aspect. I thought it was absurd. When he's playing the video game and she just like leaps into the air
like a lion.
I thought that was funny.
I heard you laughing. Yeah.
So I have a question.
Yes.
And I will ask the father, the baby's father, in a second. So since we were talking about primal urges and feelings, what is it after that baby leaves you and they put that baby in your arms for the first time? What is your emotion? How do you feel when? Well, by Olivia, you knew that certain feeling was coming again, but the first time with G. What is that feeling? What is when it leaves you and then they cut the thing, the purse comes out of your vagina, and then the baby comes to, and that sort of quick and here's the baby.
Yeah.
All covered in mess and stuff. Like, what is that feeling? What is it? Because I will never get that.
Well,
like, I want to know that.
The first feeling is relief because it's like, oh my God, it finally came out. Because by the time the 9th month rolls around, it's like, cut me open and get this thing out. I was pregnant both times during the summer, which is not the thing to do. I think with G, it's a little bit more muddied because I was on so many painkillers and whatever they gave me in the hospital. Mm-hmm. Like, I have a very foggy recollection. Like, I went in and out. I mean, I think you told me that your parents were in the room. I don't remember that at all.
They weren't in the room during the birth.
No, afterwards.
After everything was done, and they had cleaned up because there was mess on the floor. Oh God, it was like a war in there.
Yeah,
they cleaned.
See, I don't know
cleaned up. And then my parents, because I remember you literally got upset with me.
Because I thought she held the baby first.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, they put the baby on your chest. And I was like, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah,
I don't remember that at all.
You were loopy.
I was loopy.
So, okay.
I mean, it's not even from just the drugs. I mean, you went through hell because G's birth was scary. She was in the wrong position.
She didn't want to come out.
She pooped inside of you, and they were like worried about that because you don't want the baby breathing that in, and
I was tired because you can't eat in case they got to give you a C-section.
They had to use the salad tongs. To get the kid out, and
it was nuts.
There was like an argument between the doctor and the nurse because the baby had like a little bruise on her head that may have been a result of that. And
and the doctor wanted to cover that up. Yeah, it was a high drama. Miss G was high drama. Yeah,
Olive was like,
you
were like a cannon.
She was like a cannon. Yeah. She was just like, let's get this started.
I remember the nurse was just like,
you're not winning any awards.
You're not winning any rate. Don't worry. You're not dilated anywhere near it. And then 10 minutes later, it was like, oh, crap.
This baby's
coming out now. You're like, can I have drugs now? Too late.
And so that was the other thing about, because like, it's funny. I asked my mother, because she was still alive when I had G. Well, actually, she was alive for both of them. But originally, when I had G, I tried to have a relationship with her and kind of whatever. And I remember asking her, like, oh, do you remember at all? So just to give myself a gauge, like, how this is going to turn out. She had no clue. She had no recollection. And I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of weird, but whatever. So you hear so many, like, horror stories about birth. So as soon as I got into the room, we got there on a Monday. This kid was born on a Wednesday morning. I was like, don't explain it to me. Just stick it to me. Just give me whatever pill, whatever shot. I don't want to feel anything. Do you hear me? I do not want to feel anything. So that by the time she was getting forced out, right? Because she was like a week late at that point. they had to induce me. And I couldn't feel my lower body. That's why it was so hard for me to push. And that's why you and the nurse had to hold me like an accordion.
Yeah, we were like pumping you like an accordion.
Yeah.
Just
it was nuts.
One arm under your head, one arm under your leg, and just
nuts.
Yeah.
like squeezing the bellows.
There's nothing magical or pretty about childbirth. It is shite.
So
and there's shite on the floor too.
I didn't want to look, but I saw it out of the corner of my eye, and I just looked away. Like, now my wife doesn't do stuff like that.
So
Everybody poops.
We keep talking about the vial. So now could we talk about, all right, Olivia flies out of you like a bat out of hell.
Like a bat out of hell.
And you get her in your arm. You get her.
Yes.
What's that? Because now you didn't experience the first time because you were on another planet.
Exactly.
So now you do have the opportunity.
So now I have the opportunity. So the first thing out of my, the first thing again is relief. I'm glad that she came out. I'm glad that we're both okay. This isn't like the 1950s. I didn't die in childbirth or whatever. I think the second thing was, is this baby real? Like, I think I turned to you. I was like, is this really our baby? She's a redhead. She don't look like you or me. She was very pale. I mean, you're pale, but
she looked like a leprechaun.
She looked like a leprechaun. Yeah. I was like, did you keep an eye on this baby? Because she don't look like she's ours. And he was like, no. She's been here the whole time. This is ours.
This is our baby.
This is our baby.
I'm surprised the baby's father didn't go, have you been stepping out?
Where you been, bitch?
Where you been? Munchkin land? Shit.
And I think then after that, it kicks in like, oh my God, we did this again. And this is, again, a very humbling experience because you're given this huge responsibility to care for another human being, to impact their lives, to shape who they become. It's scary, I think, in a lot of respects, because it's like not everyone can have a child, and we were lucky to have children. And the experience is, again, very human and humbling and just wow, because it's like you feel like,
but was
like that sentence, like she says, we are gods, we give life. You know, it's very powerful to realize in that moment, like, we did this.
And she's convincing them. And she's convincing them, like, they're so lost. These poor women are so lost in this identity crisis that all of a sudden she kind of like figures it out, where she has to go and she goes in hard about being a mother, right? To kind of like refocus what she's lost, I guess. Yeah. And then when she's sitting there, she's having this conversation with these other women, and it's like, and they're like, yeah, man. And then all of a sudden they start talking about, I lied, I did this to do this. And I said, yeah, and I get it. I don't blame any of you for lying or being dishonest or like finally recognizing, like, there's the woman, I guess she was from, I guess, Pakistani or Indian. Yeah. She was huge, and they're like, yeah, this is a big deal. Like, and they said it like what I've been saying at the beginning of this podcast was to have something grow inside you. You were, we just stick it in. Our job is like at best maybe 7 minutes. I know, Ray, you're a king. I heard that. You go. She's never complained. She has never complained. Ever. Trust me. I mean, we don't talk because I really don't want to hear about all that. But she's happy. Let's just say that. She ain't going anywhere.
Exactly.
So you're the king. God bless.
But see, that part felt very honest and genuine, because I think when you get into that sort of part of the journey, it feels very true and very familiar. And again, like, obviously my experience isn't going to be the same as suburban housewife, and it's going to be different than immigrant story or whatever. So everyone comes to, but there are things or experiences that distill that are very similar across the board. That loss of identity, that whole questioning yourself, like, what am I doing? I'm the worst mother kind of thing. And also, even another thing that I thought was interesting was when I guess one of the times that the husband's there present and they go to the museum with the child, and she's telling him, like, this is okay. I needed this to kind of reconcile that I gave up my art, because this is what's important. I want to be present. And it's almost like, are you just telling yourself that just to to try to make yourself believe it? Is this just, you know what I mean?
That's what I got from it.
Yes, I did too. And I think that sequence is very, very true and very much a very broad experience across the board with women, how we tell ourselves these stories to sort of justify or to sort of make things that are so overwhelming feel more manageable and bearable. Because there is this sense of being overwhelmed and just complete rudderlessness when you become a new parent. And especially I think with your first child, because you're trying desperately not to screw up because you've been given this responsibility, this huge responsibility. And I think it's very, very powerful. You know, I wanted to ask you a question as a husband and a father. What did you think of the husband?
It's funny. I read about it, and my personal thoughts is in the beginning of the movie, they are really playing up his like obliviousness, and I think they're doing that just for the sake of, okay, this is what you're expecting. This is what you expect in the comedy, the oblivious husband who doesn't quite get it. Then they have that argument, and he, like we all said, he makes the relevant argument, which is, I'm not a mind reader. If you're telling me that you are happy and you are content and this is what you want, I think I'm being supportive and I'm going to go along with it. So he wasn't, in my mind, he was not a completely unlikable character. He wasn't the buffoon. There are moments when he is extremely buffoonish. The
milk
when
scene.
when she's in the shower and he starts banging on the door, going, "Where's the milk?"
Right. Get across the street and get it your fucking
go to the
self.
goddamn store and buy some milk. That's the answer. I would never, if I knew you were totally stressed out and you needed some time to relax or whatever,
and we're taking a shower,
I'm not going to
the 4
bust
minutes
into
you have to yourself.
Exactly.
Like
4
she said it,
5
like
minutes that you have to yourself.
Michelle, go get your fucking milk.
Yeah, I would not be back. And then he came back 2 more times and banged on the door.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you are Hollywood dad. You are the moron that we expect to see. You are the Doug Heffernan, the Ray Romano, whatever.
Yeah.
That guy. So, yeah, in certain aspects, he was like that. From what I also read in the book, the husband wasn't as obtuse as that.
Right. Which
it
would have been nice to see what he was supposed to be.
Yeah. I think that was because of the translation. You needed something a bit more, I guess, Hollywood or whatever. And you're obviously condensing things from a book to an hour and a half drama.
They didn't need to do that. I think I would have got the message of, like, he goes into the shower just once. That's just absurd to be like, and she said, I'm in the shower I've got 4 minutes, and she kind of lets him have it. But him going back after that, that's like going after a viper. And she was just like, it was just so over the top ridiculous, his response. Yeah. That was another part where I'm like, I don't think somebody like that would. And there are husbands that's like, where's the milk? And they get antagonistic and they're abusive. But he wasn't.
No, I don't think he was a bad guy. I think he was a smidge unaware, but also I think that he was also trying to do the best that he could, because like you pointed out on that argument, he's like, if you don't tell me, listen, I know that you got a lot on your plate with a little kid all day long.
And it's not only that you don't tell me, it's you're actively telling me the opposite.
Opposite, right.
So yeah, he does have some justification for his seeming, I guess, inactivity or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I think I spoke about this. I spoke about this with you, and
you're very attentive.
I feel what we have is like a team. So
yes,
I've always wanted to make sure that if you seem like you're getting overwhelmed, to be observant enough to realize you're being overwhelmed, because you will do the same thing.
Yes,
you will say, "No, I'll do it. It's me. I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it." And at some point, I'm just like, she's full of shit. And if I don't do something, if I don't do something, if I don't do something, she's gonna explode.
Yeah.
So suddenly I'll do a whole bunch of crap that you didn't even ask me to do, and
you get your reward.
Yes.
There's
but
nothing sexier than housework
but it's
in
not
this
just
house.
that. It's literally just teamwork. I don't want you feeling like you're alone and you're raising the kids by yourself.
No, I
because the
appreciate
kids
you.
are a
Handful.
They are a handful. They are a job in of itself. Each one of them.
They're not bad.
They're not. No, they're not bad
we could've gotten
kids.
stuck with worse children,
Even well-behaved kids.
Yeah.
They're well-behaved for a reason because the parents are.
No,
We're
I know
very
you guys are
present.
good.
Yeah, we're
you
very
guys
present.
are excellent. I've said that. Oh, I've said that over and over. I'm like, you guys are really not, and I'm not surprised. I know where Ray's family comes from. I know Joanne's mom and dad are a bit of a wild card, but I know they instilled and stuff in her because I've seen her go from her 20s to her, I'm not going to say now, but
50s. You can say it.
50s. And, I knew she was always going to be a good mother. I knew how she cared about me, and I knew how she watched over, you need help with that. You need this. And I'm like, sit the fuck down and enjoy my barbecue at my house. Get away from the grill. You can't cook. Don't clean anything. Be my guest. But she was always...
Certainly don't open a can.
No. So
I still can't believe you didn't have an electric can opener. This ain't 1950s?
I don't understand why you would need an electric can opener. Why would you need to plug that thing in?
Because it makes it easier. Why am I going to sit there and manually turn something to open a can?
The biggest leap is you as a mother. It's the cooking
I know what a can
thing
opener is now.
You can't like you got to cook. You got to open a can of SpaghettiOs. Like that would have to be learned. I know the baby's father, he can cook. I've eaten quite well at your house. But when you started to cook.
It was dicey at the first. I can maneuver my way through a kitchen now.
Yeah, you've made
I've
some
definitely
good stuff.
expanded the repertoire. My prosciutto covered chicken breasts.
Yummy.
Those are yummy.
You?
Yeah.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah.
This girl she almost slit her wrist with a potato peeler. Put the potato, I can do this. I'll put that thing down. I'm like, stop.
I'm like I want to be helpful. You always cook.
No, sit.
I was trying to figure my way through the kitchen.
You did. Not on my time. Not in my kitchen. The last thing I needed to do is call an ambulance.
Blood everywhere.
And that's also tied to being mother. Like it forces you to you don't have a book, and then you got to learn how to cook if you don't know how to do that. There's just so much to it. And this woman, mother, I completely bought the whole I can't do this, I hate this, the resent. Just certain parts of this movie didn't fly with me, like the over oblivious of the husband, which I don't think he was originally portrayed. Then all of a sudden it became like unrealistic. Mm-hmm. And then because at the end of the movie they were still very much in love with each other. It's just they hit this point where they couldn't love each other because I guess once becoming a mother, you either go on this ride with them or you don't. And I think that's another thing. You have to look at marriage very seriously when you become a parent.
Right.
That it's either a partnership or it's understood where back in the day, it was like the guy just worked and came home and just sat on a recliner.
Ready and a drink for him as soon as he walked through the door.
And now it's like the way the world is now, you have to have two incomes, and it's not like there's so much more that has to be done to raise a kid. And I knew that they would, to justify him being like, he did go to her art show, she did kind of return to who she was, and then he was actually co-parenting, but the only way that they could do it was through this. If they were divorced, and I guess they were divorced. Or at least
separated. I think they were separated.
They were separated, but then by the end they're back together.
Because then they're having another kid.
Yeah.
Pay attention to that. I was more like, okay, they're in separate spots, and that's where he actually had to step up and go, I don't know how to do this, and she's like, figure it out. Like, good luck to you. Yeah. She's like, I had to figure it out, maybe. And he calls on the phone like, I don't know what to do. It's like, well, figure it out. I'm not there.
Yeah. And
like
then she has time to kind of regroup and figure out her own shit and then put on the show. The other thing, and it's funny because I'm sure you both have seen it with the crazy women in your life, but the way women tear other women down. So at the beginning, the Amy Adams character isn't very nice about the other women in the library group, right? She's like, oh, I don't want to deal with these women, whatever.
I think she was upset that as a mother, she is expected to just join this mother group. Mm-hmm. And I think she realizes that was kind of a mistake in the way that she was thinking, because if anybody's going to understand what she's going through, it's these other women.
These women, right.
And the thing that was interesting about that is they're all like almost like I wouldn't say apologetic, but like jokingly glossing over the real troubles and hardships of being a mother. And the thing that she brought to that little circle was she would just be honest. Like I said, she's at this point, she's already like in her mind tapping into this primal mothership. Mm-hmm. And she is explaining it to them, and she's explaining it using like these terms and phrases that are just like really powerful. Like when she's talking to the one that's pregnant and having her other child, she's like, you're at mommy's circle and you're also making bones inside of you.
Yeah.
And that's like, that's sort of imagery is like extremely powerful when she's like, we are like gods.
Yeah.
And yeah, you in a metaphorical sense, you could say, yes, you are like God. You are creating life. You are doing these like amazing primal powers and stuff. So that's what she brought to that. And she realized that these women, they're going through the exact same stuff. It's just sort of like they're sort of joking about it. It's they don't want to go that far, I guess, because of just society and that it's just sort of like, well, that's what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And while you're at it, put on some makeup
and smile
and make my dinner.
Yes. Question for you.
50s nonsense.
Yes. Question for you. Did you think that Liz, the woman that you just mentioned, the pregnant woman, Miriam, which was the tall mother who said she'd been a stripper, and then Jen, which was the kind of PTA kind of, do you think those three women were an analogy for those three dogs?
Yeah, absolutely.
To her in the park and then at the house? They
give that away with the strawberry scented hair shampoo.
Ah.
When she first touches one of the dogs, she's like, oh, you smell like strawberries. And then when she's near Jen, she's like, oh, strawberries.
Didn't get it.
I didn't catch that. Yeah, but you're right.
Didn't care.
Question for you.
Who's you?
I'm going to ask you first, actually, Leo. Norma, the librarian. What did you think of her character? For a minute there, I thought she was going to turn around and be the mother. But
this is what I liked about it a lot. Was sometimes when you watch TV, there's always that sage male adult that knows everything. Mm-hmm. They flip that because there is no way in hell that a man is going to be able to step her through this slight little conversations of, okay, I'm on the edge, and this very wise woman who's been through all this, who's older, says, ba 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 ba. Steers her into a less complicated emotionally place, I guess. Yeah. So I like the fact that she was there, but I like the fact that, you see on TV, there's the person who always gives the greatest advice is the oldest male. But then here it is. She's a librarian. Obviously, this is a part-time job or whatever. She says she's been a mother, and then like even the book that was a magic book, and it was like, no, you didn't. Like
you didn't get that from here, yeah.
Yeah, you didn't get that from here, but she did because she gave it to her.
Yeah.
And then I just felt like I liked that sort of touch on it. Was like finally you get advice from another woman who's been through something instead of being mansplained, saying, "Oh, well, this is how it's supposed to be." It's like, no, this is it. Yeah, I've had this experience. It's for real. Yeah,
I agree, and I also love that she's sort of like, to your point, like she's the librarian, so she's not a blood relative. She's not like the obtrusive mother-in-law or even the judgy mother, right? She is sort of removed, but still within the confines of her day-to-day because she sees her on the regular. And she's this calming presence and, to your point again, very wise. And I loved, one of my favorite scenes is when they're at the food court in the, I guess, supermarket, and she realizes people are looking at her because she's acting like a dog. And then Norma, the librarian, comes over. She goes, oh, when my son was little, we used to do that too. And then she turns to the son and she's like, rawr, rawr, rawr. And the boy is like into it. And he's like, rawr, rawr, rawr. And you can see that she made it better. Norma made it better because she understood where Amy Adams' character was coming from. Like, I've been here. Listen, you're not feeling anything new. Since the dawn of time, women have had this struggle. Women have had to find their place in their role as mother, because now your life is not your own. You're responsible for someone else. I loved her character a lot too. Yeah. And she's not in it very long, but in the moments that she's in, they're very lovely. What did you think of the Norma character?
No, everything that you said, she's like the Yoda of the story. I mean, seriously, the caster is a librarian, the keeper of knowledge.
Yeah. Right,
the one who has the access to the knowledge in the secret book that, well, that's not normally available in the library, but here you go. You got it. Yeah, so, she was sort of the guide, the spirit guide, the wise woman, which is kind of also keys into that whole primal thing, because when you think of primal times, ancient times, there's always the wise elder and the one who knows the stuff, the one who's like more in tune with the natural world. And this was sort of like a modern take on that.
Yeah, for sure.
And the fact that, as you mentioned, she's not shown that much. She appears at certain points when she is needed.
Yes.
It's almost mystical in that respect.
Yes. And also sort of like a surrogate elder parent in a way, because she doesn't have a mother anymore, right? So this woman now becomes sort of the de facto elder statesman kind of person with experience, and also a mother who knows the journey and is giving her guidance, right?
It's guiding her. And also, I mean, maybe it does remind her of her mom, who apparently gave up something to join Mennonite society,
which they don't really explain in the film, but you did a little bit of a deep dive about the book.
That's why they were dressed the way they were, and the fact that she was unfulfilled as far as her aspirations of being a singer, but now she is just a mother, and she also liked running around on all fours out in the woods, just, I guess, to, I don't know,
just vent or
embrace that need.
And it's funny that they use Mennonites because they're different than Amish.
Yeah, I thought they were Amish.
Right, no, Amish is much more strict. Like they don't Mennonites, because my parents live near Mennonites in Sarasota in Florida, so they actually have more contact with everyone else. The Amish, there are some out there, but you don't even deal with them. Like they really keep themselves separate. The Mennonites realize that they do have to be part of
the world,
society in other ways, even though they stick to a lot of their own rules. They're very successful as far as making businesses and things like that. So it was interesting how, even though she was a Mennonite, there would be no shot in hell that this mother would have been a singer in any way.
Right.
Unless she was a Mennonite. That she wasn't Amish. Amish would not have been. Yeah. At least she would have had some sort of contact with the world in a different way. And it was like, again, her mother died.
Did they say she killed herself, or she?
I don't know. I don't think they ever
specified
how the mother passed away.
Yeah. And it was more was she jealous of the mom, that she was like a little, like, I wasn't clear on that. Like, I just because she didn't get to have to deal with all this.
I think she felt very. I think the subject of the mother made her sad, and I think that she probably suppressed a lot of those feelings, so that when they did start bubbling up, now that she had this kind of similar trajectory, and she now, because she was saying, I think in the beginning of the film, she narrates that she's now thinking about her mom a lot these days, right? So I think because she's now a parent, she sees kind of similarities, how her mother had to give up her dream of being a singer to raise a family in a very strict confines, and maybe she was so overwhelmed and she lost herself that she lost that fight. It's never explained if she took her own life or she just ran away or it was like an illness that took her. They never really explain. It's just that she's not in her daughter's life anymore. So yeah, so I thought that was an interesting, like the Norma to mother's like parallel kind of.
You
as
know,
well.
I mean, Norma sounds normal. Like it's just like to normalize
Right.
this.
Oh,
this
interesting.
is
Yeah.
how it is.
Yeah.
How it
yeah.
is.
That's cool. Yeah, that was Jessica Harper who played Norma the librarian. Any parting thoughts we want to give before we wrap it up and give our numbers? Do you have anything you want to add? What did you, as a male viewer, what did you think of the film?
I thought it was okay. I feel like it's tough making a film that is comedic and dramatic and tackles a kind of heavy subject. Mm-hmm. I guess it could have been better in certain aspects. I won't say what, because the fact that they were able to do it at all is a miracle. But yeah, I mean, overall, I feel that the film as a whole works. I feel like by the end, it gives sort of like this nice, I guess, more of a pro-family message in the fact that they're all together at the end, that the guy actually, he understands by the end. And especially after the art show, he says, I don't understand any of this, but I get it. And that they work together. And at the end, that line about now we are one animal sharing warmth, mm-hmm. You know, and that's how a family should be. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's that. I understand. Obviously, there's probably I read about it and that some men would be insulted by this. Oh, it's you're making men out to be the bad guys, but those are internet guys who
are 12.
Yeah,
exactly.
They're 12. They're upset. They have like these weird primitive views that they got from comic books and Conan movies.
I forget that bald guy. That there's this really annoying bald guy. I forget his. I don't even know his name, and I'm sure. Yeah, women should be this. I'm like, well, fuck you, man. Yeah. I hope I could say that.
Yes,
whatever.
Of course you
Just
can.
bleep it out. Whatever. Yeah. I don't even know his name.
What are my thoughts? I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I thought it was good, and to your point, it is a feat that something like this was made, because I think that
it's not very conventional.
It's not conventional. It's not easy storytelling, and I think that the subject matter is definitely going to alienate people or certain people. So you have that against you, but at the same time, it's kind of lovely to see this subject broached, because I think for the most part, motherhood or the mythos of motherhood is sort of a lie, right? Because I think that we as a society need to continue to have children so that money is put into our Social Security. So I think everybody creates this illusion that motherhood is just easy and breezy, and
I think it's more than Social Security. It's the survival of the species.
Nobody gives a shit about that. Is there any money in that?
Social Security.
It's
exactly.
Social Security. It's all about money. But
it's the rest of the world. They don't have Social Security.
That's true.
Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? America.
Goddamn.
We're all about America. Yeah, I didn't hate it. I just wish that there had been other choices made. I'd be curious to read the book now, just to get a better understanding of these characters. I don't know that I would have ended it with the childbirth, because I think that's
not in the book.
That's not in the book, you said, right? Yeah. So why tack that on here? Was it necessary?
Hollywood ending,
I guess. And I guess you needed to make that delineation. Oh, she's now a mother to a daughter, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They seem to emphasize, get ready to say hello to your daughter.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Giving birth in your living room is gross, by the way.
Yes.
Don't, just go to a goddamn hospital.
Just go to a goddamn hospital, yes. But, yeah, I mean, I guess...
Exactly.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything to say. I mean, I think that they did the best that they could with the conversion to a different sort of medium, because now you're taking a book and making it into a film. You're constricted by time. You have a certain script that may or may not be faithful to the book. So changes are obviously going to be made. That's a given. But I think that if you're going to go comedy, it was comedic enough, right?
There were certain moments that were very funny, and also,
and even the heavy stuff.
The sort of the tone. You're sort of understanding that you have this woman who's basically embracing her primal side, but she has that shield of modern society upon her. So, and I feel Amy Adams did a great job, because there's plenty of times where it's her face.
Yes.
Where she looks at her husband, or she looks at somebody, and you could see, if we weren't in a society with laws, I would murder you right now.
Yes.
Like that look on her face.
Yes.
And every once in a while, they'll give you a glimpse of her fantasy where she's leaping through the air. That's humorous.
Yes. And even though it was a heavy topic, it wasn't. I mean, parts of it felt a little heavy-handed, but not too much. Where it would.
Yeah, I never felt like I was getting beat over the head by any of this movie.
Right.
It was just it. They did a pretty good job balancing it out.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think if I'm gonna give this a number from 1 to 10, I'm gonna say.
Let me project. Because I didn't get the chance to say my opinion.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Go ahead. You go first. And then we'll give our numbers.
I know your number, and I'm gonna tell you after. And I'm gonna keep mine short. It's I liked it a lot in points, and I didn't like it a lot in points. So I think when I go to a movie, I go, besides all the message, and I don't want to go into a movie dissecting it, and I feel like doing that is not helpful as me to enjoy a movie. So overall, I like the movie, and I get the message, and and right away I know that motherhood isn't easy, and it's complicated, and it's on the woman, and the husband, as understanding as he was or wasn't. It's a hard deal, and that I got, whether it was her feelings are primal and stuff, but overall I enjoyed it. So I'm actually I think I know your number, and I think it's gonna be like a 6, because I think it does honor women enough, but there were parts of it that were just like, maybe even 6.5. Like, I feel like
that was my number.
Yeah, it was 6. I think I was going to say 6.5, because I felt like I would give it. I felt like I was between 6 and 7.
Yeah,
and I just felt like I liked it enough because I liked the honesty.
Yes,
I like the honesty in the beginning of it. I like the honesty when she's dealing with the other women. I like the honesty of Norma at the end. I like the honesty of her relationship with the husband. As far as the dog parts, I hope that there are dream sequences in the book.
Yeah.
I just hope that they're not actually happening, and I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying, oh, you smell like strawberries, like, I didn't need that, but I really feel like the 6.5 is fair.
Yeah.
She's incredible. Like, I know
Amy
she
Adams
wanted to kill her.
job. Yeah.
Like, she's looking at her husband with that milk bottle, and I would definitely would have beat him over the head with it.
Yeah.
And she's looking at him like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah, 6.5.
6.5 for me too. What do you say?
I'd give it a 7.
7. Look at you going higher. Yeah.
I feel like Dancing with the Stars with the paddle.
Yeah.
And I was like, am I going to be seen as this little box, or am I going to, I was going to like put up on a little index card here. I was going to try to 6.5, but I knew your number, because I felt like it was
definitely between 6 and a 7. Yeah.
But I felt like a lot of it was pushed,
yeah. If I was going to go 7, it's because of her performance.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
She's brilliant in it. Yeah.
And to be able to direct something almost absurd, like with the dogs, and then have it come from a real place, I think is a hard feat. But it was good. It was okay. Would I watch it again? No. But But I think what I suggested.
I enjoyed it.
What I suggested to a person who is becoming a mother, or a family unit, or somebody trying to become a family unit, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's definitely timely messages. Like I said, I think that there's stuff in it that's similar to my experiences, but different, obviously. So I think everyone brings their own whatever to it. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of universality here as far as being a woman, becoming a mother, and then that journey that happens, and the feelings and the whatevers.
I think this would be a better film to watch than the one where we had to watch that lady give birth in a hot tub. With those hippies standing around.
So I think when we were having G, right? We had to go to birthing classes.
Good Lord.
And we had to sit in a room, like, what was it? Like on Saturdays for like 3 hours or something stupid like that.
It was like pre-Lamaze class or something. And they made us watch these terrible videos.
Films.
And like one of them was like, this just happened by accident, and this woman is like doing like pregnancy
yoga
or jazzercise or something, and suddenly she she just goes in this labor.
Yeah, she's like, oh, my water
screaming,
broke.
And they bring her outside.
And then her friends that were making a documentary about dolphin sounds come out and make dolphin sounds. It was the most insane thing, and her husband looked like a weirdo.
They strip her down, they put her in a hot tub, and then the husband strips down nude and he's in the hot tub too, and she just gives birth in the hot tub, and then like their child strips nude and gets in the hot
top with them and the baby. I'm like, oh, this could not be me. Yeah.
And the doctor looks like a crazy weirdo devil.
And you sat through 3 hours of that.
Yeah.
And there was another video of just women giving birth in a squatting position.
And that was the funniest thing.
They should have like put it to the soundtrack of like Metallica, you know, like Master. Because it's just like shot after shot of just women just like firing babies out of their vaginas.
Just ridiculous.
Boom.
And there was the one kid that came out with the cone head, and I was just like, oh my God, this is not what I want to see before I give birth.
She gives birth to this like severely cone-headed baby, and like they lift the baby up, and you can see the mother and father are just like Jesus Christ.
What is that? God, I hope they don't do that anymore.
Motherhood.
Ugh.
Yeah, so this would be better. This would be better to show.
This would be better to show.
It was okay. I mean, now that you talk that, maybe it does earn the 7. I don't know. But I think the 6.5 is.
I think 6.5 is fair. 6.5 is fair.
I was like, because I was like, 5 is too harsh. It was better than that.
Yeah, 5 is
average.
Is average. It was better than average. It wasn't a perfect film, but and there are parts that were really funny. I think if I was gonna go 7, it's absolutely because Amy Adams just knocked it out of the park here. She is very human, very relatable, very nuanced and layered, and just like to your point, her eyes are something to behold. She does a lot of emoting here, and you see it.
She was in a movie. I forgot the name of it, where the aliens come and take the
Arrival.
Giant.
Yeah.
She was huge in that. I just thought that was so good, but that was all on her. Like I just felt that was such a good movie, and then she had to like converse with them and learn their language with these septipods or something. Like I can't believe I remember so much of this movie because it was her. I was like, she had to be the one to connect with these things and figure out how they speak, what they speak, and what they're here for, and crazy. But she was always, when I saw her, I said, I'm definitely going to give this a chance. Because I was like, why I wanted to do Wicked. I wanted to do all these other cool movies.
We can do more crazy stuff.
Nightbitch.
Oh my God, if you haven't seen Heretic, get on that. It was so good.
What do you mean? There's another Heretic?
The one with Hugh Grant?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, you should watch it. Yeah. That's like my favorite.
That's
one
another
of my favorite
one
movies from last year.
Has like a very like interesting discussion about the nature or an origin and basically the primal nature of something.
Yeah.
Okay, don't give it away.
We won't. But if you do watch it, let me know so we can discuss it, because I could talk about that movie morning, noon, and night. I think. Okay. I think it's funny, something that you said, that the director was like, "Oh yeah, she did Enchanted too." Before she did this
prior to Nightbitch, she did Enchanted too.
Which is like very extreme. That's very extreme. But okay, so we're gonna wrap it up. Again, thank you, Uncle Leo.
Thank you.
I promise
not to do this every 4 years. I think we're gonna need to pick another one very soon.
Yes, very soon. You pick it next time and let us know. And then again,
whatever happened to Baby Jane?
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, let's do that. We'll get it on the calendar. I'll send you an invite like this, and we'll do it again soon.
I know that movie inside and out.
I expect
it's in my top 5.
Is it?
Yeah, and actually, Wicked actually moved in too. Like Wicked, The Wizard of Oz, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, The Exorcist, and Shawshank Redemption.
That's a good one too.
That's my top 5.
Yeah,
but
that's a good list. That's a good list.
The Exorcist is my favorite movie.
Yeah, we love that.
Mm-hmm.
And you laugh and laugh.
I laugh at that vomit scene
Me
every
too.
single
Terrible,
time.
terrible. Ray literally laughs like it's a comedy. That movie scarred me and terrorized me for decades. And you sit there every time Reagan's like, your mother's maiden name. And you just laugh and laugh and laugh.
My favorite,
like
is when she sticks the crucifix over there.
Yeah.
And it's like, and this is in the 70s, a movie. I could only imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when we talked about it, we were like, I know Ellen Burns, like, she's a great actress, but Linda Blair should have gotten the nomination for Best Actress. She's doing some pretty sacrilegious things in that. Oh, you got to go. Okay, we got to go too, so we'll bid you all a good night.
Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.